I am Cali Davis, and this is my informative speech. This is my audience. I'll be talking to you today to inform you of the harm and effects of tobacco use. As the leading cause of preventable illness and death, tobacco use accounts for more than 480,000 premature deaths every year in the U.S. alone. This averages out to over 1,300 deaths every day. Maybe tobacco doesn't impact you specifically, but at some point in your life you will be exposed to some form of tobacco. Did you know that most tobacco addictions begin before the legal age of 18? Or that cigarette smoking accounts for 1/3 of all cancers and 90% of lung cancer cases? It is important to refrain from tobacco use for several reasons. It is important to avoid the detrimental effects it will have on your body and your health, and to prevent fueling an addiction that nearly guarantees some form of cancer or disease in later years. I will discuss the effects of tobacco use and the impacts it can have not only on your health but also on the health of those around you. I'll begin by discussing the different forms of tobacco. However you choose to use tobacco, you are introducing your mind and body to a treacherous lifelong addiction that will inevitably destroy you from the inside out. Truth is, not everyone in the world was born with a perfectly performing body. Whether it be a poorly functioning heart, a weak limb, or an incurable disease or syndrome, there are plenty of people that have had to struggle the majority of their lives coping with their health. It is a shame that there are people who will mindlessly pick up an addiction such as cigarette smoking and will choose to harm their bodies. Tobacco poses a threat in many forms. Whether it be cigarette smoking, smokeless tobacco such as dipping, or cigars, it is the nicotine in all of these products that leads to the addiction. Nicotine is not to blame for the severe health consequences that come of tobacco use. Instead, it is the carcinogens such as ammonia, tar, or carbon monoxide that will inevitably cause several cancers and diseases. When the link between these carcinogens and lung cancer came to light in 1964, the attitudes of the world toward tobacco changed, and the world was finally exposed to harmful side effects of tobacco. Since the release of this evolving news, efforts have been made to fully warn the consumer of what they're getting into whenever they choose to smoke tobacco. Millions of dollars have been expended towards television ads and warning labels on the products themselves in order to educate the consumer of what they're getting into. Despite these efforts, the current global average of young men and women who are choosing to use tobacco seems to be continually growing, as many are picking up this atrocious habit and few are putting it down. As stated by Joppa Bott in the New England Journal of Medicine, 50% of adolescent men and 10% of adolescent women will become smokers this year. With these figures, the number of tobacco-related deaths of adolescents will double from 5 million in the year 2010 to a predicted 10 million in the coming decade. Many will pick up their first cigarette or their first can of dip as a result of peer pressure or in an effort to relieve some stress. Tobacco abuse is typically the result of a beginner smoker who is looking to self-medicate, cope with depression, lose weight, or simply trying to please their peers. Alongside these stresses, the number one factor that will push uneducated young teens to using tobacco. It is simply human nature to search for a source of relief in these times of stress. Though after smoking a cigarette or two, it will not be so easy to part with the nicotine as originally planned. Matt Cunningham wrote on an online site, though the stressful time has passed, tobacco, which was once a reliever, is now the primary source of stress, as they are now fighting the addictive nicotine. Sure, the majority of smokers are unlikely concerned with the long-term effects that smoking will have on their health, but they ought to be aware of what they're exposing their loved ones to. As harmful as tobacco is on the smoker's body alone, it is correspondingly spreading over 7,000 chemicals to the others around them. A monstrous 250 chemicals have been proven to be just as harmful to the animal population as they are to humans. As Jay Schwartz shared, secondhand smoking has the power to cause over 3,000 deaths per year due to developing lung cancer and also triggering respiratory problems in children. In conclusion, tobacco use is a forefront issue in our world today. and it is a careless addiction that should be limited to reduce the health effects and the cancer cases in the world to prevent other avoidable health issues. Consequently, some people continue to spend many of their years struggling to get off of tobacco and paying the ultimate price by causing a premature death for themselves. By sharing the inevitable consequences of tobacco addictions, we can better the health of our future as a whole, avoid unnecessary disease, premature death, and lifelong struggles.